Okay, so we are moving on to WBZ disorders. So a very good morning to all of you. And the part 1 has already been discussed as leukocytosis and leukopenia in the last class. Just summarizing a bit of it. Leukocytosis is a condition in which the white blood cell count is comparatively increased. It is frequently a sign of an inflammatory response. Now, besides the inflammatory response, leukocytosis also occurs in leukemia, right? Okay, now besides that, just a regenerative and a degenerative left shift, which was discussed in the earlier class. Now, what is this that you see? Okay, so this is a myeloblast, a promyelocyte, a myelocyte, a metamyelocyte. Okay, so when there is an increase in this myeloblast, okay, this one, then what is it referred to as? It is referred to as AML. Okay, what is that? That is an acute myeloblastic leukemia. Okay, it can also increase in a degenerative left shift, but in that case, the blast will not increase. What are the other cells that will increase? The promyelocyte, the myelocyte, the metamyelocytes, even the band forms can increase. In that case, we are referring that to as a regenerative left shift with neutrophils and increase in band. Okay, now just quickly going into today's class. Okay, what is today's class about? It is about acute leukemias. Okay, fine. So acute leukemia. Now what is leukemia? Leukemia comes from the word leukos. What does leukos mean? Leukos means white and emia means blood. Okay, so what do you see alongside here? What is this cell that you see alongside this one? Okay, what do you see alongside here? This one. What is this cell? What is this one? What are these cells? What are these cells? All along you get a monomorphous population of cell. Okay, with a scant rim of cytoplasm, slightly indented nuclei, and you have prominent nucleoli here. Here, this one. Okay, all prominent nucleoli. So these are all what is referred to as blasts. Okay, so they are all blasts. Right. Let's move on. Leukemia is a group of malignant disorders characterized by clonal expansion and accumulation of one or more blood cell lines with eventual involvement of all hematopoietic organs like liver, spleen. It results in lymphadenopathies as well as hepatosplenomegaly. Okay, pathophysiology behind this is a mutation. Now, the mutation characteristically involves the hematopoietic stem cell. What is this hematopoietic stem cell? We'll be discussing in a bit. Now, what is this? What happens here is there is activation of the proto-oncogenes and the deactivation of the tumor suppressor genes, and that results in the formation of this malignant phenotypic cell associated with resistance to apoptosis, and these cells usually become what is referred to as immortal. Okay, that may arise because of the growth factors or an insensitivity to the growth inhibitory mechanism, and the potential to invade and metastasize characteristically increases in such cells, right? Okay, now a hematopoietic stem cell usually results in differentiation into the myeloid, erythroid, or a lymphoid lineage, right? So myeloid, it may be erythroid, or it may be a lymphoid lineage. Now the myeloid lineage divides into the megakaryocytic lineage, which differentiates into platelets. The myeloid progenitors can divide into basophils, mast cells, and eosinophils, as well as the neutrophils and monocytes. The lymphoid, on the other hand, changes into B cells, T cells, and the NK cells. Now coming to the cytochemistry, the cytochemical stains used are MPO, SBB, non-specific esterase, and PAS. MPO and SBB characteristically stain the myeloblast, whereas the NSE stains the monoblast, whereas the PAS stains characteristically the lymphoblast. Okay, so just remember that these two, that is the SBB and the MPO, stain the myeloblast, the NSE the monoblast, and the PAS the lymphoblast. Now coming to the bone marrow picture. Now the bone marrow picture that is shown alongside is more so polymorphous. Okay, what is this cell? Okay, this one. What is this cell? This is a megakaryocyte that you see. What are these cells? What is this? This is a myelocyte. It's got granules in its cytoplasm. Okay, it's somewhat basophilic. Okay, what are these cells? What are this one here, this one? What do you think this is? What about this one? It's the same cell that I'm talking about. What is this? Okay, what are these cells? These are the erythroid progenitors. Okay, so they are the erythroid lineage cells. These are the myeloid lineage cells. These are the megakaryoblast lineage cells. Okay, and what about this one? This is a neutrophilic lineage, so this is again a myeloid lineage cell here. What about this one? This is a monomorphous blood picture. Monomorphous. What do you see over here? What do you see? Abundant cytoplasm? Yes, obviously. Here a scantrim. Okay, what about this one? Yes, sort of an abundant cytoplasm. Here a scantrim. Again here, abundant cytoplasm with open sort of a chromatin, prominent nucleoli. These are nothing but your blasts. So more than 20% blasts in peripheral blood or bone marrow is suggestive of leukemia, which may be a myeloid leukemia or a lymphoid leukemia. Now coming to the etiology. What are the etiologies? The etiologies that we consider is hereditary, or it may be radiation induced. Hereditary can be Down syndrome, Fanconi, Bloom syndrome, ataxia telangiectasia, or Costman syndrome. Okay, remember we discussed Costman syndrome in the earlier class. It was due to the mutation of the HAX1 gene. Do you want to go back to the picture again? Okay, for you, just for you, I can go back, right? Let me just go back. Okay, just wait a minute. I'm just going back to Costman syndrome last class. Just for you, Costman syndrome last class. So here it is. Costman syndrome, which results basically due to mutation of the HAX1 gene, or it may be due to the glucose 6-phosphatase catalytic subunit 3. Okay, so this is the child with Costman syndrome. Here there is accelerated apoptosis of the myeloid cells, and that usually results in what is characteristically a neutropenia. But that also is a predisposing factor for leukemias. Coming back to our class for today. Yeah. Okay. Just wait a minute. Okay. Now, besides that, there are other causes as well, like there may be a chemical or occupational exposure, or there may be drugs like alkyliding agents, topoisomerase 2 inhibitors, chloramphenicol, phenylburazone, chloroquine, etc. Now, clinical presentation, patients usually have non-specific symptoms, and they have fatigue, anorexia, weight loss, fever, bleeding or bruising, and this is what it is. You have certain rashes that develop, which results in what is called as leukemia cutis. Physical findings, there may be gum hypertrophy, that is seen right here. You have gum hypertrophy. Okay, patients may have splenomegaly, hepatomegaly, lymphadenopathy, sternal tenderness, that is also there. Sometimes patients usually have an increased risk of fever and infections that precisely occurs because of a decrease in your neutrophils. Okay, a decrease in the neutrophils results in infections, and particularly hemorrhage occurs because of a decrease in the level of the platelets. Okay, so a decrease in the platelets results in hemorrhage. Now coming to AML. Now AML can be either classified according to the FAB classification, or it may be classified according to the WHO classification. Now the FAB states that peripheral blood or bone marrow of more than 30% is characteristically required for diagnosing a patient with AML. On the other hand, WHO, what does that say? That a count of 20% blasts is enough. So anything more than 20% is leukemia. That is according to the WHO. Now, what are the basic types of AML? According to the FAB classification, it may be M0 type with no Romanowski or cytochemical evidence of differentiation. That is M0. With little maturation is M1. With myeloblastic leukemia with maturation is M2, which is acute promyelocytic leukemia is M3, which may be hypergranular or microgranular. It can be M4, which may be AMML, okay, M5, which is acute monoblastic, M6, which is erythroleukemia, and M7, which is acute megakaryoblast leukemia. I'll be going into it. In-depth analysis will be done, okay, so don't get yourself confused. On the other hand, WHO classifies it according to its recurrent genetic abnormalities, with multi-lineage dysplasia, with MDS-related changes, or it may be an NOS type, which is similar to that was discussed by FAP. Okay, so it is somewhat similar to that was discussed by FAP. Okay, with minimal differentiation, without maturation, with maturation, myelomonocytic, monoblastic, erythroid leukemia, megakaryoblast, basophilic, panmyelosis with myelofibrosis, and myeloid sarcomas. Now coming into it one by one, we have M0. Okay, what is M0? Those with minimal differentiation, usually seen in adults, about 5% of AML. They usually present with leukocytosis in 40% of the cases, whereas more than 50% have leukocytopenias. Less than 3% of the blasts are positive for peroxidase. That is important. Okay, and the blasts usually stain for myeloid markers like CD13, 14, 15, 33, 34, etc. And B cell markers or T cell markers like 3, 10, 19, 5 are all negative. There is no maturation of the myeloid cells. Morphologically, these are the blasts that you see. Yeah, so this one is all blast. Okay, this one is all blast that you see. You have an open chromatin, prominent nucleoli, fine chromatin, okay, finely dispersed chromatin, okay, with no granules in the cytoplasm. OR rods are usually not found in this case. Okay, so you have OR rods which are not found in this case. What about M1? M1 on the other hand is acute myeloblastic leukemia without maturation. Okay, it accounts for 10% of the cases in adults and infants. Okay, it is a leukemia where you get OR rods, right? But OR rods are seen in only 50% of the blasts. Okay, only 50% will have OR rods here. So 30 to 45% of the AML are M2 type with maturation. Okay, they have azurophilic granules in their cytoplasm as well as OR rods. Okay, but OR rod here is highlighted better, though OR rods are present more so in this condition. And that is AML with maturation. Okay, now what about APML here? Here, APML M3, what is this cell that you see here? A lot of granules and a lot of OR rods in their cytoplasm. Okay, it is usually a Faggot cell. A Faggot cell was highlighted in my last class. They usually have a fusion. Okay, they have a fusion of the RARA and the PML genes arising basically from chromosome 15 and 17 respectively. T15, 17 is associated with this condition. They are usually MPO and Sudan Black B positive, PAS is negative. Okay, and NSE can be weak positive. IHC is yes. Myeloid markers 13, 15. 33 positive. Okay, now let's just move on, but before that, do you want to see that case that I highlighted last time in the last class? There was a Faggot cell. Do you remember? I think you don't, right? So just let me go back. I'll just go back for you. This cell, remember this one, this cell here with a lot of OR rods here. Okay, this is a what cell is this? This is the Faggot cell, right? Faggot cell. Okay, lot of OR rods, all clustered at one end. Okay, now coming back. M4 usually occurs in the elderly population. Okay, this is the myelomonocytic leukemia, which arises from a chronic myelomonocytic leukemia in some patients, of course. Usually patients have blasts, obviously more than 20%. There is associated monocytosis blasts. Look at these blasts. They have cleft sort of a nucleus. Okay, a finely dispersed sort of a chromatin, prominent nucleoli here and there. It can be pro-monocytic or it may be monoblastic in that case. Okay, a monocytic, pro-monocytic lineage cell usually has a clumped sort of chromatin. Okay, this is more so an open sort of a chromatin because this is a site. Okay, this is a blast. Blasts usually have an open chromatin. Sites usually have a clumped chromatin. Okay, in addition, it has two. Here one. What are these? Prominent nucleoli. Yes, so that is characteristic for a blast. Okay. Now, just remember what I said was a characteristic for a blast. A pro-monocyte is equivalent to a blast. Okay, just like a pro myelocyte is equivalent to a blast in APML. Okay, now what is an acute monoblastic leukemia? This is an acute monoblastic leukemia. Here is a monoblast, okay, with sort of cleft nucleus, some degree of vacuolation that may be seen. Okay, there is a prominent nucleoli that is seen. Usually the urine and serum muramidase levels are elevated, often extremely high, and they are usually NSE positive, right? So they characteristically stain for NSE, that is non-specific esterase. Now M6, acute erythroid leukemia. Now what are these? These are all erythroblasts, right? So they are all erythroblasts. They have a deeply basophilic cytoplasm, okay? So they are all erythroblasts. They may be, the erythroid lineage cells may be dysplastic, megaloblastic, okay, or poorly delineated. More than 80% of the marrow, if shows presence of erythroid progenitors, okay, typically the erythroblast, then what is that referred to as? It is a pure erythroid leukemia. Erythroblasts have a deeply basophilic cytoplasm, often agranular with poorly delineated vacuoles, right? The nuclei have a fine chromatin with one or more prominent nucleoli. They usually show a positivity for PAS. They stain for glycophorin A. Now this is an acute megakaryoblast leukemia. The arrows shown here, okay, they point towards a megakaryoblast, right? What is the characteristic feature? These usually have pseudopods or blebs. Okay, so what is this? These are the blebs on its surface, okay, coming out here, here. They're all blebs on the cytoplasmic surface. Now, coming to the prognosis of AML. Now, prognosis, AML can have a favorable prognosis when associated with T821, 1517 or inversion 16. Intermediate when associated with trisomy 8, trisomy 21, trisomy 22, deletion 7q, deletion 9q. Adverse prognosis when associated with deletion 5q, abnormal 3q, complex karyotypes. Okay. Those with favorable prognosis have a complete remission in 91% of the cases, whereas a 5-year survival rate of 65 to 75% has been found. Those with intermediate prognosis have a complete remission in 86% of the cases. Those with adverse prognosis have a complete remission in 63% of the cases. Now, the flow cytometry shows that there may be precursor cell markers like CD34, 38, 117, 133 or HLA-DR for that matter. Or there may be granulocytic markers like 13, 15, 16, 33, 65, MPO. Or monocytic markers like NSE, 11B, 11C, CD14, CD64. Megakaryoblast markers like you have your CD41 or CD61, or you may have erythroid markers, typically the glycophorin A. Now, what is ALL? Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Okay, now why does that happen? That happens again because of the malignant neoplastic proliferation and accumulation of the immature and non-functional lymphoid cells in the blood as well as in the bone marrow. Okay, it is the most common type of leukemia typically occurring in children. Patients usually present with generalized weakness, or they may have fatigue, weight loss, bone pain. They can have enlarged lymph nodes, breathlessness, pitting edema, and petechiae. Peripheral blood can show an increase in the leukocyte count. Okay, so there may be an increase in the leukocyte count. That means there is lymphocytosis. Okay, because of the lymphoblast that is characteristically seen. The blast is lymphoblast in this case. Okay, it is not the myeloblast. It is the lymphoblast. The bone marrow is hypercellular with more than 20% lymphoblasts. There may be hyperuricemia, okay, increased LDH levels, or hypercalcemia, renal failure, increased CSF lymphoblast. Okay, but most importantly, you have lymphoblast, and that is characteristically more than 20%, right? So that characterizes my acute leukemia, ALL. Now, TDT is characteristically positive in ALL. Okay, TDT, what is it? TDT, or terminal deoxynucleotide transferase, is a DNA polymerase found in the cell nuclei, and this enzyme is not present in the normal mature lymphocyte. So they are characteristically present in ALL. Okay, so TDT is present here. So that is the Fab classification, which can be ALL, L1, L2, or L3. Okay, and we have the WHO classification, which divides it according to the T cells, according to the T cells, according to the B cells, or depending on the degree of maturation. Now coming to the L1. Now what are the L1? You have a scant rim of cytoplasm that you see over here, and 1 to 2 prominent nucleoli here and there. Okay, and there is very little cytoplasm, right? Very scant rim of cytoplasm here. Everything is nucleus. So very high N by C ratio. Very high N by C ratio, right? Now coming to L2. L2 has some degree of cytoplasm, okay, more than L1, okay, and these blasts so have an abundant cytoplasm, okay, compared to L1. Okay, they usually affects adults, okay, whereas the ALL L1 typically affects the children, right? Now coming to L3. L3 is the Burkitt type, and that is characteristically associated with an abundant cytoplasm. What do you see here? In the cytoplasm, you have characteristic vacuoles, right? So characteristic vacuoles are present. Okay. Now coming to the Fab classification, this can be L1, L2, or L3, as we've already discussed. The TDT is positive in L1 and L2. It is comparatively not seen in the L3. Okay. Now WHO classifies ALL according to the pre-B cells, okay, the pre-T cells, or the mature B cells, or the Burkitt type, right? So it may be the Burkitt type. Now coming to the L1 and L2, okay, which is similar to that of the pre-B, or it may mimic that of the T cells. Okay, now cytogenetic abnormalities associated with the pre-B ALLs are the T922, 411, and 119, whereas TALL is associated with 14q11 and 7q34. Sorry, 7q34. Now mature B ALLs, okay, are the L3 type, okay, and the L3 type is typically associated with T814. Okay, so as you all know, the L3 type is typically associated with T814. Okay, that is the translocation characteristically affecting the patients with Burkitt lymphoma or Burkitt leukemia if it's in the blood. Okay, now the prognosis, you already know that for prognosis typically depends on the cytogenetic abnormalities, right? We've already discussed that in AML. So similar to that, the ALL also has cytogenetic abnormalities which are associated with poor prognosis, like T411. Okay, for that matter, 411, 814, yes, poor prognosis, and a complex karyotype with hypodiploidy is associated with a poor prognosis, right? Okay, poor prognosis, whereas hyperdiploidy is associated with comparatively good prognosis together with deletion 9p. So summarizing it for you completely now, ALL occurs typically in, ALL occurs typically in children, AML occurs typically in adults. ALL is often associated with anemia, neutropenia, thrombocytopenia, increase in the pro-lymphocytes, and more than 20% lymphoblast in the peripheral blood and or bone marrow. Okay, whereas AML is associated with myeloblast, more than or equal to 20% in the bone marrow and or peripheral blood. Okay. Now the typical morphology of a lymphoblast, it has a scanty rim of cytoplasm as compared to a myeloblast, which has typically an abundant cytoplasm with orods. There may be 1 to 2 prominent nucleoli in a lymphoblast, whereas 2 to 3 prominent nucleoli are seen typically in a myeloblast. What are the stains that you do? You do PAS and TDT, which is characteristically positive for ALL, whereas you do a MPO or myeloperoxidase and SBB, which is typically positive in patients with AML. TDT can be positive or negative. So just discussing two cases with you. Okay, one case is of a 5-year-old male, okay, who presented with a peripheral blood smear that is shown here, okay, with a very scant rim of cytoplasm. You have cells showing high N by C ratio. Okay, so there's a high N by C ratio. Okay, and what are these that you see? Yeah, you have about 1 to 2 prominent nucleoli. Okay, and very scant rim of cytoplasm. Can you tell me what sort of a leukemia it is? What sort of a leukemia it is? Please use WhatsApp if possible. Okay, you want to tell me what sort of a leukemia it is? Yes, it is a case of ALL, right? You are. Okay, yes, it is a case of ALL. But what sort of an ALL? Morphologically, it's looking like a, it's looking like a L1, right? It's looking more so like an L1 because of a scant rim of cytoplasm. What about this one? This is a 23-year-old male presented with a peripheral smear where you see around 2 to 3 prominent nucleoli. Here, you've got how many nucleoli? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have 8 nucleoli here. What about this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you have about, say, more than, obviously, you've got so many nucleoli. Okay, so that is around 4 to 5 in some extent. Prominent nucleoli, abundant cytoplasm. Okay, and what do you see here? What is this? What is this? These are orods. Any idea what sort of an leukemia it is? What is this cell here? Eccentric clefted nucleus, prominent nucleoli, some degree of orodding here and there. Okay. Yeah. What do you think it is? Yes, it is an AML. Yes, it is an AML. Right, it is an AML. Okay, but then tell me what it is. Morphologically, it's looking like something else. Okay, with an eccentric nucleus. Okay, with more so an abundant cytoplasm. Eccentric nucleus. Doesn't it look like hypogranular APML? Microgranular APML? Very small granules. Okay, could be, right? Could be, yes. You need cytogenetics to establish whether you have T1517 or not, that is PML RARA mutation or not, but obviously it looks like APML, right? Even the age is less, young. Okay, so it looks like APML, could be. Okay, so thank you so much. Okay, hopefully you understood. Now, if you've got any questions, anybody, please feel free. You can WhatsApp me. Okay, and thank you.